some gestures in it. So I'm not just an architect, but also a graduate of the Margaret's School of Waterbury. My fingers have been shriveled from hours in the laboring tub for both of my boys, who are age 5 and 8 right now. So when I heard about this project and just through connections found out about it, I thought, oh, I would love to be involved in some way. So meeting with Brad, Anjali, Margaret, Amy, we sort of did a rushed version of what's called a square foot or space program. And one of the documents that we handed out, the one with no color on it, is essentially an attempt to capture every little thing that you would need to allow space for in in the Atlanta Burden Center. So this represents a kind of dream scenario, and if you read through it, you'll see some things that really should be there, and so, but also might be. Well, I think we decided this would be the largest birth center in the country. So why not? Right? So
that's right.
Basically, let me talk through it real quickly to give just the overview. I won't go through every line of it, but you can see the spaces broke down really into 4 different areas. Summarized at the top. Common areas, which is the sort of lounge, gathering space, living room that will be shared by all the services. We'll get into that in a second. The birth center proper, which is where all of the laboring suites would happen, with all the staff services that accompany that. That would be the 24/7 part of the center. Item 3, midwifery clinic, would be essentially in-town midwifery offices for daytime visits, and for ancillary services. And we'll get into that a little bit more too, but the vision of the center is that it would have spaces available for community outreach and education, classrooms, and exercise and yoga classes, chiropractic, massage, doula's offices, things that are all ancillary but supportive of the overall mission. So the total square footage adds up to about 26,000. And taking this then and looking at this building that we're sitting in right now, which is, if you include the entire dorm, how many thousands? 160,000 square feet. We see that we would easily fit. However, how we would fit is another question. So there's this thing that's called the sample layout for 444 Highland Avenue. Is really just that. It's a sample. It's the first shot at seeing, what would these space program items look like if distributed in some reasonable way in this 160,000 square foot building. And just to kind of orient you, and maybe we have time for a tour at the end, I don't know, but to orient you, the building, if you look at it from bird's eye, is basically a U shape. And the U has 2 legs and then the bottom of the U. We're sitting in the connecting bottom of the U, okay? That's the auditorium. Around on the Highland Avenue side where you entered tonight is the leg of the U that's got the 13-story dorm on top of it, the tower. Around on this side of the U, if we went back through this exit door, there's a whole other wing that's only 3 stories tall that continues about I don't know, 200 feet down that way. So, and in between the two buildings here, inside nestled within the U, is an outdoor garden, which I don't think you could see from the way you came in.
No, they'd have to go down that.
But it's very visible from certain places. So there's a lot of potential. This is one of the great things about the building for kind of access to the exterior. Visual access, but also physical access. So let me...
Person, garden, auditorium.
So, let me orient you here. This is the ground floor, the first floor, and the second floor. So floors 1, 2, and 3. And what this is doing is saying, how would this center fit in just the 3-story part of the U? It's not at all this thing that says dorms, tower, footprint. There's none of the program in that part of the building at all, which is great for a number of reasons, primarily access, but also maybe heating and cooling. It becomes simpler in that place. So if you enter here, the Highland Avenue entrance, which you all did tonight, you come in here, this big pink area is the auditorium where we're sitting now. But the idea would be that you would immediately welcome people with some design that goes down this corridor around the corner into a big community gathering space that is connected to the garden. It would be designed to feel like it's an extension of the garden space. This community gathering space is, as it says here, ground level, is all the common areas. So it's got a reference library, workstations. It would feel welcome, like a place to just come and hang out, like a big living room. And it wouldn't feel like one big open space like this room, but it would be divided up into different types of seating areas. With children, without, all of that kind of thing. Lots of services are imagined along with this. A boutique, a pharmacy, a special room for breastfeeding, a private room, possibly daycare provided for the staff. And all those things are listed out on the space program. But, so, I feel like I should take a moment and say that Laura Alexander has been part of this process as well. She's an interior designer, and we'll cover those as well, okay? But we should recognize her kind of collaboration in this. So, moving up from this common area, I want to skip all the way to the birth center, but this was level 1, that is the midwifery clinic, which is at one of the smaller areas. It's only about 1/6 of the total square footage. And these orange rooms here are the consultation rooms, some of which are designed very specially to be more like small dens for meet and greet or getting to know you conversations, or not the kind of average exam room. And that also has a connection to the garden. So even if you're up one level, the windows look out to the garden. And actually, kind of neat, on the north side toward the hospital, there's a courtyard there as well that, of course, no one would ever see unless you were inside the hospital. But so, although there's some challenges to having a long, skinny space for a clinic, the big picture is it means that there's lots of access to light from the rooms, which is just really important. It's connection with the outdoor. Also here, represented in pink, well, the blue area, purplish areas, is all the staff areas. But the pink areas are the ancillary services. So level 1 here is combining both the midwifery clinic and all the services like classrooms, massage rooms, and other services. Items 3 and 4 in the space program. And then at the top of this, on level 2, is the birth center, which is the largest space, 8,000 square feet. Almost 1/3 of the space is the birth center proper. And so to fit the goal of 6 laboring suites, with all the staff resources sprinkled out through here in purple, it really needed to go on this level. And so the great thing here is that these rooms could have large windows opening to the north, have north light. By being higher in the air, also there's a sense of privacy up there. for laboring. So there's some advantages to that, maybe some disadvantages too, but this is just a sample layout. Very important to the concept is that the pink area over here, which we're calling family gathering, would be a very warm, welcoming living room for families to wait in. It's not directly adjacent to the laboring suite, so there's an acoustic isolation. There is a separation, but those in labor could know that the families were waiting in a very nice place with views out, and even maybe some sleep rooms available for families. Certainly workstations, something that makes it a pleasant experience. And that's it.
That is fabulous.
Skip any, I feel like in a way these are the most important things. Laura and I decided there were 3 main points to make about the design. One is that the feel of the space would need to be very warm, and I've said that word a number of times, but what does this really mean? Well, it's not sterile. It doesn't feel like a typical medical facility. This is for patients who are not sick, right? So the words that come up are natural, natural materials, of course non-toxic materials, the best non-toxic materials available, sustainable options, of course, something that we're interested in, and also local sourcing of materials. So this is a community-based center. How much of this building and construction can happen from local areas? Point number 2 is the connection to outdoor space. I mentioned this, but the garden could really become a wonderful project for the community, a place where herbs are grown. Maybe we talked about creating private spaces in the garden, either with actual kind of cabana construction or maybe just with plants, so that laboring could actually occur outdoors in some stages and in a kind of semi-private way. The garden would be just a neat place to hang out. It is stuck between these very big buildings, but on the other hand, it's very private and quiet in there. So I think that with some design work, it could be a wonderful place. And then finally, light. I guess I've talked about that too. But it's not just the connection to the outdoors, but it's also the sense that the cycles of the day are apparent to you, right? So from everywhere, we want a sense of that we know what time of day it is. It's not like some hospital rooms where you just shut off and no. So that covers my point.